Well, hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for a webinar. Today's a webinar day, and I'm so excited. Webinars days are my favorite days. Today, we're going to be talking about how to help you close some extra sales before the end of this year. So you may be sitting in your model home right now and thinking, you know what? Couple extra sales would be really awesome. It would let me hit or exceed my quota, maybe make that president's club, maybe win that trip. If you guys have those fun little trip competitions going. So I'm excited about our topic for today because we're going to talk about exactly how to get your prospects off that edge, right? We're going to talk about how to overcome all of those objections that we hear all the time, like, hey, the prices are too high right now, interest rates are too high right now. So we're going to talk about those objections, how to overcome those so that you can close a couple extra deals before the year end and hopefully get your 2024 started on the right foot. So thank you for joining me today. Please drop your name in the chat. Tell us where you're coming from today. Throughout this webinar, I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type the questions in the chat and we're going to get to them. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Anya Chrisanthon and I'm the Chief Communications Officer at Anewgo. At Anewgo, we're on the mission to make buying new construction not only fun, but also easy. And we do that by providing amazing visualizations, by providing interactive design tools. And of course, all of that comes backed up with some analytics so you can see exactly what your customers are doing as they're interacting online with you. Joining me today is a good friend of mine, Roland Nairnsey. Roland is the president and the founder of New Home Sales Plus. He's originally from England and
Yes.
has his British sense of humor. So I'm sure we're going to be laughing throughout this webinar. So welcome, and I'm
Thank
going to
you.
hand it over to Roland.
Thank you so much, Anya. I really appreciate you and Anewgo. The clients I work with, so many of them use Anewgo, and they only have great things to say about you. So if you're not using Anewgo already, you really should jump in. They just have such a happy, loyal following. So thank you to you, to John Lee, to Sarah, to your team for putting this together. I really appreciate you. So let me get going here. I know everyone's time is valuable. So for those that don't know me, I am a sales trainer. I have builder clients all across the country. I only teach what I've done myself. So I've been in new home sales since I was a wee lad. I am from England originally, but a long time ago. And so have my own company. This is a glimpse of my website. I'm so proud of it, but it talks about what I do finally, which is training, consulting, but transformation. I'm not really just a programs guy. It's not my favorite thing to do. What I really take a lot of pride in is transforming companies, being transformative. So that's finally what's communicated on my website when you go there. I travel around the country training. There's Maddie over there at S&A Homes, a cute picture with the closing chickens. We make training fun and interactive. Training doesn't have to be dull and boring. What the big takeaway people share with us is that my training is authentic. It's real stuff. It's stuff that I've done myself. I would never ask anybody to do something that I haven't tried and tested. And anybody on my team has to be a successful new home salesperson as well. So that is a differentiator. My book came out last year, Mastery of Selling for New Homes, specifically for new homes. So it's on Amazon, the best way to get it. It's on Audible if you like to walk around, go for your exercise or be in your car and listen to it. My new book, Mastery of Negotiation, it's close to being finished. So it should come out early next year. And I write lots of articles monthly for Builder Magazine as well. So just a little bit about that. And by the way, please stay tuned. At the very end of this webinar, there's going to be a question for two free books. Two different people can win. So the first one to email the answer. There's going to be a question at the very end of it. So if you're still here, you'll email to me at my email address with the answer to the question, and you'll get a free signed book. So there's that. All right, you guys ready to get started? Anna, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. So something that occurred to me to talk about is to narrow it down to one of a kind. So that's something that really is the topic of the day. So all of us, Anya mentioned it, we're getting this objection of time frame. I would like to buy, but I'm going to wait for something. I'm going to wait to rates to come down. I'm going to see what happens in the economy, what happens with the country, the election, the planet, the world, whatever it's going to be. And so strange but true. People know me as the but guy, meaning I like to deal with big buts, meaning it's a big objection. I would buy, but what's going on? So we always talk about dealing with objections anyway, but that's more of a reactive thing. So what I want to, first of all, to suggest is that we're proactive as opposed to reactive. And for those that are looking at the screen and thinking, why the heck does he have a picture of a frog in a well? So for those that don't know the parable, there was a frog in a well, apparently, as the story goes, and she was trying to get out of the well. And all of the other frogs said, don't even bother. It's not worth it. Why are you even bothering trying to get out of the well? And she wouldn't listen. She was a determined frog, and she kept trying and trying and trying until she eventually jumped out of the well. Then the rains came along, and all the other frogs floated up, and they got out of the well as well. And they said to her, why did you keep trying? Why did you bother? And it turns out that she was deaf. And I love that as sort of a parable that to be really successful, you got to be deaf to negativity and criticism. You got to live in your own lane, right? Hopefully, all of you that are entrepreneurial, which pretty much everybody in sales and marketing, I think, is entrepreneurial, even if it's somebody else's company and that's known as being entrepreneurial. But it's the same idea that to be successful, you've got to, you can't worry about others. You got to be deaf to negativity. I've been told that before. He just doesn't listen. No, I'm listening. I'm just ignoring your bad advice. I'm going to go and do it and show you how it's done. And that's sort of what I'm talking about. As it pertains to this topic of narrowing down to one of a kind, somebody could come in into your sales office and go, I'm just looking, I'm going to see what happens. And if you believe that, we're not going to make any sales, you're not going to make enough money. So I want you to find a way to narrow it down to one of a kind and have them start to fall in love. So I hear what you're saying. Why don't we just take a peek at our model? Let's take a peek at the home site and be somewhat deaf, not in a rude way, not in a non-listening way, but you got to excite them with your product. And if you never get out the door to show it to them, then how are they going to fall in love? Does that make sense, by the way, Anya? Do you like my little thought
Yeah,
parable?
absolutely. Thinking back to my own selling days when somebody was like, hey, I'm just here to look, or I'm here to
Right.
get even ideas for decorating, I would
Yeah,
always take that opportunity. I would take them through and show them off the model and everything, because next thing you
good.
know, they're falling in love and they're ready to sign. So yeah,
Perfect.
I
Perfect.
absolutely get it.
Thank you so much. In this webinar right now, with what Anya just said, they fall in love, they're ready to sign. So they came in thinking, I'm just looking, I'm not really ready, rates are too high, blah, 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 blah. But you show them something and you create demand in their mind. So I've got examples here from regular retail and Zig Ziglar. I'm going to try to do a Southern accent. It's probably going to insult everybody. Let's try it. Let me do that. Don't become a wandering generality. Be a meaningful specific. That was terrible. That was like the worst Southern accent ever. But I love Zig Ziglar. But he talked about don't be a wandering generality. You got to be specific. Same thing in sales. If it's just the idea of building or buying one of your brand new homes, that's not going to motivate people. When they fall in love with a specific home site view, home plan in the on your land world, then all of a sudden that's a shifter. That's a mental shift in their mindset. So in retail, talking about when you go car shopping, once you find that car and fall in love with it, then you decide you want to buy it. With jewelry, once you try on that jewelry, not that I'm a big jewelry fan, I don't have much, but once you've tried it on, I say it does sort of work, and then pictures of retail, sunglasses, clothes, whatever. When you try it on, all of a sudden it's like, well, it does sort of fit, and I do sort of like it, and maybe I should go ahead. And that's what we want to get. We want to close on a maybe and get them out there into the models, and as Anya said, onto the home site or the designer showcase home, which is the move-in ready home, whatever it is, their time frame suits, but get them out there and starting to fall in love.
With
Yes.
this, the car example, this takes me back. So when I had my twins, so it was a few years ago,
Uh,
I was shopping for a new car, and I came into the dealership and I had a specific car in mind. It was just your regular size car or whatever. And
Rolls
I
Royce or Bentley?
saw,
I forget.
yeah, I wish. But then I saw a Tahoe, and I've always been very, earth conscious person. Like,
Oh, I
we
didn't know that.
compost, like we have solar roof,
Oh,
like we do the whole thing, right? So I was like, no, I
sure.
would never drive a guzzler like a Tahoe. But I
Wow.
was like, something in me was like, oh, let me just try and sit in the car, right? And I was like,
Oh,
this is not the car for me, but whatever. Once I sat in that car, let me tell you, I felt like a
right.
freaking gangster from a rap video.
Yeah,
And I was
nice.
like, this is the car. Like, how much? It was way over my budget, but
Right.
I bought the car because of
There
how
we
it
go.
made me feel once I sat in it. So
Wow. I'm
yes.
getting goosebumps. It's perfect. It's exactly it's the perfect metaphor. We go out thinking, hey, I'm going to drive a Subaru or Subaru, whatever, because you love the planet or a Volvo maybe, and all of a sudden you see your
Yep.
Tahoe and it's gangster and it suits you and you're up high and the stereo is good and the cup holders are amazing and you're like maybe I could, and then you find a way to justify it. But it starts with that. We think it starts with logic, but we know that buying
Yep.
is emotion backed by logic. You got to get them to fall in love. So if you end in your sales office or even in the model, that's not enough. You got to get them out the door and start narrowing down and trying something on and seeing how it fits. And if it fits well, they start to justify it themselves. I once worked with a owner. I worked with them every year. A company called Jamin in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada. And Jay stood up one time and to the group of about 50 salespeople. He said, "Hey, I want you to make price irrelevant." I thought that's a stunning thing to say. How do you make price irrelevant? Already people go, oh, that's not possible. Yes, it is. If you make them fall in, if you cause them, help them to fall in love with whatever that dream home site, all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute now. Why does it matter so much? And then we can work on our selling skills to sort of bridge that gap and get them on track with that. So as it relates to us, connection, first of all, they need to connect with the home site or the home. They start to fall in love. And then there's something we all know, we joke about, but fear of missing out. It's actually a real thing. There's a part of our brain called the amygdala, which deals with fear. I think it dates back to Stone Age time when we'd run from those saber-toothed tigers or something like that. But it's the fear of loss. And so they say that the amygdala is the most powerful part of our brain, the fear of missing out. You can't fear of missing out something you haven't experienced. But if you go walk that home site or you go look at that move and ready home, that showcase home and say, it is sort of nice. It does have the counters that Chip and Jojo had on HGTV last week. And I love that. And all of a sudden, the customer feels connected to that one of a kind and there's fear of missing out. So we've got to get them out the door. So you say words to the effect of, since you're here, let's just take a peek at blank. Let's just go and have a look at it and see what happens. So there's a picture of us role playing on the home site in Wilmington with my lovely Stevens Fine Homes team. Something very specific to the training would be to take your map and mark it out and find 3 unique selling propositions of every single home site that you have. So it might be exposure or corner or topography or whatever, but you got to go out there and put your sensible shoes on and walk on each home site and see what you experience, front views, back views, or if it's a showcase home, whatever the specific unique selling propositions are of that home. But you've got to cause your customer to experience it. They go out there and all of a sudden they start shifting in their mind and thinking, well, maybe we can make this work. Right? Anything to add there, Anya? Does that sound familiar to
Well,
you?
one thing I think comes to mind right now is that if somebody is coming to your model home right now, it's the end, mid to end December, and they're saying, "Hey, I'm just looking, I'm just bored, I'm just looking for the ideas." Like
Right.
this person is ready to buy. Like nobody is spending their holiday time in the model home. So
It's a great point. I think that the biggest buying sign is they got dressed up and came to your model. They came into your retail space. There are and plenty of other things they could be doing. I believe that NAHB research shows between 15 to 20% of people really are just looking. So that means about 80 to 85% of people are there to do something, to buy something someday. They might not think it's right now, but hopefully in the hands of a great salesperson that says, let's just take a peek, let's go look at it and see what you think. All of a sudden, magical things can happen. So let's keep going with the theme of narrowing down. Somebody might be saying, well, this is well and good, Roland, but my buyers really aren't even going to have a look at that. They think now's a bad time to buy. And I'm not one that blames the media for anything. I just don't believe in that tract. I think we should take responsibility for our own destiny and not, I'm not a blame guy ever. But having said that, when people say that they want to wait, maybe we don't have a recourse. Maybe we don't have something to say. So here's what I teach and stuff that I've used in every down market or normalized market that I've been through. And I really am pretty old. So this, I think, is my 5th or maybe 6th one. I've lost track. So the benefit of why buy now. So if I could show you that now is an ideal time to buy, would you consider moving sooner, or would you consider investing sooner, if you prefer to say that? So you want to make a suggestion of them thinking differently. Basically, I hear you. You'd like to think about it until whatever. But if I can show you that now is an ideal time to buy, would you consider moving sooner? Well, what do you think of that? It's a big statement, right, Anya?
It is, but I think it's also kind of how you said, hey, just hypothetically speaking,
That's
no
coming up.
pressure,
Yeah.
right? Like, let me just show you what we have. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, maybe nobody put the numbers in front of them.
There we
So
go. We're going to
they
get to that.
hear
Exactly.
from the media that like the interest rates are so high right now, the prices are so high, the affordability index is at a low time, low. Like they hear all those things every single day in and out. What they're hearing from their friends and family is the same thing. Are you thinking about buying a house? That's crazy. You're buying at the top of the market. Da, 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 da. So, but maybe they've never actually sat
Yeah.
down to take a look at what does that look like on a monthly
Yep.
basis, especially with a lot of builders being able to offer incentives right now,
Yeah. We're
with
going to get to that.
lowering interest
Absolutely.
rates, etc.
Yeah.
So that may actually surprise somebody. So I think it's a great
Absolutely.
idea.
Good. So the first thing you want to do is make a suggestion of, if I could show you this, would you consider moving sooner? I had some customers that were 5 years out from buying, and I said exactly that to them. They said they wanted to retire in 5 years. So if I could show you that now, to them, I said that if I could show you that your buying power will never be stronger than it is right now, would you consider moving sooner? They said, sure. I went out into the models. This was many years ago, narrowed it down, asked for the sale. They said, remember we said 5 years. I went back and sat down with them and showed them all the benefits of moving sooner, and they did go ahead and they closed in a year, not 5 years. So I was able to shift their mindset. But it's too easy to agree with them. So let's at least make a suggestion of something that's more powerful. So let's own this and understand it. These slides, by the way, are available. If you want to email me or Anya and get the slides, I'm happy to share them so you can show your sales team. So let's look back. Sometimes we tend to look back on the past with sort of rose-colored glasses and think, oh, I wish rates were down low. Well, no, let's be honest about that. Let's be candid about what was going on when rates were low. So low rates, high demand. We had a boom going on, as we know. But let's look at all the negatives, right? We had massive price increases. Please raise your hand if you experienced that. Everybody raise their hand. All 5,000 people, that's a lot. 5,000 people on this webinar all raised their hand at the same time. There were basically no pre-sales. If you did pre-sales got shut down. If you did pre-sales, you had very limited choices, but eventually, due to weird things like the barges in the sewers or whatever, our doors and fans were stuck on barges, and we couldn't even offer choices, so we shut that down. Sometimes we just shut down sales altogether. Time delays, right? We went from a normal construction cycle to months and months longer, if at all. Price escalation clauses suddenly showed up. We all know about that. We had Some of you had quotas, pauses. Your showcase homes we only sold homes when they were finished. There were no pre-sales, so you put them on the market, and we pretty much take it or leave it. Like, if you like the home, great. If not, don't worry about it. There's 5 more people lining up outside the door that will buy this home within the next couple of days. So not exactly a friendly market for your consumer. And then we had bidding wars in many states across the country, where whether it was a new or a used house or a used home, there was a bidding war. So the past wasn't that great if we put it in the right context. So low rates led to this high demand. When you got more even rates, so higher rates equals even keel demand, correct? That's right. So the market now, pre-sales are back. You can build your dream home, the home of your dreams, the dream of home ownership. Probably one of the reasons we got into this business is it's so satisfying to provide a dream home for somebody. Would you agree, Anya, that it's fun to see people get what they want and fulfill their dream of home ownership?
Absolutely. And according to the latest Zillow study, we know that more and more people want to personalize their homes. I mean, pandemic did it to all of us,
Exactly.
right? We spend so
Yeah.
much time at home now. So I
Yeah.
want it just the way I want it.
Exactly. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this house, and I want to get something new and fresh and that kind of stuff. So the dream of home ownership is back. You can provide it. Personalization. You can have fun with choices. You can lock in your price. Oh, wow, what an amazing idea. You don't have to worry about the price going up. It's locked in. You have a normal time frame. Construction cycles have come back down again. quality is back. Most of the builders, just were really suffering, and now everybody is proud again of quality, doing surveys again to prove that we have great quality. And you've a lot of builders, the prices got so high, they didn't want to always bring prices down. Some of you did, you just needed to, but a lot of you didn't. But you increased the quality of your homes and increased the features within the home. So again, the buyer is getting a better quality home now than they did a year and a half ago when rates were much lower. And then we have incentives. Of course, it would have been insane to talk about incentives a year and a half ago, but now whether it's a users you choose, you can get a lower price, you can get excuse me, you can lock in the rate on a fixed rate or a buy down or points, closing cost assistance, all of that stuff make it fun and attractive to buy now. So we should be building that dream that now is a great time to build because of that. Now, wait, there's more. And this is where I get a little bit, what's the word, sort of geeky on for everybody. But there's great economic common sense in buying now. Now I get a lot of sales were like, all right, he's lost me already. Why talk economics? But I want to make sure we share it. It's on a slide. Maybe take it and digest it later. A lot of you out there already know this stuff. But some reasons to buy now with economic data. And this, by the way, was as of the end of November. Let the record state it's what, December 13th, I think. So this was 13 days ago. So inflation is down to 3.2%. The high rates are painful, but it has stemmed inflation. Unemployment is down to 3.7%. Wages are up. I didn't put that on here, but wages are up. So people, have money in their pocket, although a lot of people complaining, but it still is strong. The average market time in the United States, so people put a home on the market, it's 52 days. Now, in some markets I'm in the Carolinas, for example, in Texas, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's even less than that. So it's an average of 52 days. So it means if somebody wants to sell their home, what a great time to think about selling. And why is that? Well, people aren't leaving their used houses, even though they want to move. They're waiting because they've got lower interest rates, right? So it means if you want to sell and build your dream home or buy your dream home, what a great time to do it when nobody else is brave enough to put their foot in the water or whatever that would be, because you do have short market cycles, so you could sell quickly. But the month of supply, again, that leads to that is very short. The average is 3.6, but again, in certain states is a lot less than that. And look at this. For those that forget, there's a housing shortage. We need more homes. Why? Thanks to you beautiful millennials that are coming into the market and deciding, I want to buy a home now, thank goodness. So are you a millennial?
I am technically a
You are,
millennial. Yeah, I think I just
yes,
made it. I'm
the
the old
tail end of it.
millennial.
Yeah, I saw you laughed. I wasn't sure, but
I
it is really
identify as
that.
Gen Z, so
Yeah, I think you're more Gen Z. That's exactly. I thought you were Gen Z. But anyway, there's a housing shortage. I can't find a real statistic or one people agree. So the stats I've found anywhere from 3.9 million to 6.5. We hear 5 million a lot. That we need 5 million more homes out there. So my point being, again, if you're brave enough, or rather, you can coach your customers to break the norms and that feeling that now no, we should wait and see what happens. Look at the economic benefits of buying now. So you can sell your home, you can make that move easily. You're not competing with a whole bunch of other homes, and there's a shortage of homes. So now let's turn that into something that we could actually say to customers. And I put this together, but I want a full disclaimer. I do write dialogues and all my training material, but I'm very clear. It's how I would say it. And I want to show an example. I don't expect you to learn it word for word. I want you to take the concepts and become comfortable and sort of say it for yourself. But the stuff is truthful, it's authentic, and it's really, really powerful. So I'm going to read it if I may, but I want you to take from it how you would say it. Does that sound fair?
sounds good.
Well, good. So here we go. So to put all that together in something that we could communicate. So a customer that says that I'm going to wait and all that kind of stuff. Well, our homeowners feel that now is an ideal time to invest in their brand new home. Unlike the last few years, they can choose the home of their dreams, their favorite home site, and then personalize their home at our state-of-the-art design studio. Sounds good, doesn't it, Anya? That's
Sounds
what I meant.
great.
Good. They also appreciate that we're adding more quality features in our homes than ever before. And we even have a special limited time incentive for moving forward this month. With a national housing shortage, can you imagine how the floodgates will open when rates go lower? So that's just a pause. We want to talk about that. Imagine what's going to happen next year. Rates will go down. We don't know to what extent, but when they go down, people will come back to the market and you'll be sitting pretty. So you'll have been one of the savvy shoppers who invested in their new home at the ideal time. You could always refinance if you wanted to, Plus, what a great time to sell your current house with such little competition. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and start the process or design your home, begin the process, shall we? Does that make sense? So conceptually, all the benefits, you can have fun, you can personalize, you can get your dream home site and home. And look what's going to happen with all these people that have come to the market next year. You know, there's a popular phrase about date what is it? Marry your home, date the rate, or whatever. I
Mhm.
just think if you misspeak, it doesn't sound right when you say date the rate. I don't want to go into too much detail because I'll get canceled. But you know what I mean? It's just I don't love the turn of phrase, but I love what you're talking about. And then most mortgage companies these days have a float down option or a free refinance. If you're building, they have a float down where when you close, if it's lower, you get the lower rate. But they also, most banks now, most mortgage companies are offering a free refinance within 2 or 3 years, which is amazing. So you can build your dream home. You get everything you want, and look, watch those rates when they come back down to a level you're comfortable with. You can always refinance for free. So there we go.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Yes,
Warren Buffett has said that you should always, as an investor, you should always do the opposite of what the masses are doing. So he,
exactly.
of course, spoke as it relates to stock market. You know, when the stock
Yeah.
market is booming and it's going up and up, that's when people jump in the stock
Yes.
market, which is the worst time to jump into the stock market because you're buying at the highest possible price. And when the market goes down, that's when people start exiting because they're selling off because they're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing money. But you're not actually losing that money until you sell your share and you realize the loss. And that's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to buy when it's
Yeah.
low
Buy
and
low.
sell it when
Right.
it's high. So again, it goes
Exactly.
back to kind of doing what the majority, the herd mentality, right? Like you want to do the
Perfect.
opposite of what everybody
Yeah.
else is doing.
No, it's a great point, and I think that I don't know. We could get into this whole topic of the herd and what's going on, but people just feel comfortable and justified being part of this great herd and whatever it might be. And we need salespeople and sales managers to stand up and talk common sense to people and say, hey, at some point you'd like to move into your a brand new dream home, correct? So let's talk about the benefits of possibly doing it now. It does begin with narrowing it down and having them fall in love, but they've also got to feel okay about it, that it's justifiable. And people go, yeah, that is true. I can get exactly what I want. I can relax. And you're right. When 5 million buyers come into the marketplace, when rates get back down, the herd starts stampeding, if you will, then you'll already be sitting pretty with your brand new home. Imagine how smart you're going to feel and how happy you'll be enjoying that brand new home. So however you want to say this, that's a lot of words. And I'm not advocating you say it all, but conceptually, those are the concepts we want to get across to our buyers. And then Anya was talking about dollars and cents. We're going to get into that before this webinar is out to sort of show people that money.
We do have a question that just came in from Brittany. So
Hey,
Brittany's
Brittany.
asking, what is your favorite question to ask customers to get them talking about their specific needs and interests? We have
Sure,
to ask customers why-focused questions as opposed
sure.
to yes or no questions that are boring and do not nurture your customer relationship.
Yeah. And I think that's Brittany Horner. So a shout out to you, Brittany, over there in Vegas, working for Mitchell Homes. So you said you were going to be here, so thank you for that great question. I agree. So so open-ended questions, really, there are lots of them, and the context has to be, has to be correct. So if they're building a home, if they, what if they're replicating a home they like, then what parts of the home do you like and what don't you like? But any really open-ended and any open-ended question, I think is going to work. That's carefully thought through. So if it's about the home, what would your dream home have in it? If it's about location, what location features are important to you? Tell me more about that, and get them to really open up and fantasize. I think this actually works out perfectly with what Britton is saying. So when somebody says, "I'm just looking," is what you're saying. What you want to do is cushion that, and I know you're just looking, so that makes them feel comfortable. But hypothetically, and then any one of these questions, Brittany, would make sense. Hypothetically, when are you thinking of moving? What value range? What home features are you looking for? So I found that it's just paradoxical that we humans often don't like to give what feels like a commitment to somebody. Oh, I'm just looking. Oh, I'm just looking. It's like a stiff arm. No, no, no. But when you say, I know you're just looking, but hypothetically, oh, well, hypothetically, I want a 4 bedroom, 3 bath with a primary on the main. I want to move in by next summer so my kids can be in school. And I want a great room with white quartz counter. In other words, when it's hypothetical, they can go into their wish list. So I agree with that. So I'm with Brittany on the why questions. I tend to teach, start with the specifics of how they heard about you. on the website, was it the website? What was it? When they want to move, what value range, what features, and then get under the surface with these lovely why questions and either find what the hot buttons are or find what their discontents and fears are. So right now, I think there's a fear of just buying because rates are high. So we're going to hit that head on with overcoming that fear. A fear of not being able to maybe lock in a price or that kind of stuff. There's plenty of them out there. Does that make sense so far?
Absolutely. And when I was selling, I remember we had to go 3 whys deep
Yes, yes,
and to really figure
absolutely.
out, especially when it comes to the reason why you're looking to move, that's where you have
Yes,
deep, really go deep beyond,
yes,
oh, I'm renting now, but I want to buy. But why? Like you
yeah,
rented this long, like renting is not really a why. It's not
right.
really a
No,
legitimate reason. So you got to get to that why
yeah.
because then it's much easier for you to close them if you truly know the motivation.
Right. So in that case, it would be, what are you looking to change about your current situation? And well, I'm renting. Well, okay. And what is it about that? Well, I don't own the home. And what else would be important? Well, I'd like to personalize. I'd like to make friends. I'd like to get the tax benefits. If they don't say it, we'll say it for them for sure as a salesperson. But absolutely, for finding out what's going on and going 3 deep is fantastic. So if they say that they want a 4 bedroom, well, that's just a random thing. How come? What is it that's important? You have children. Tell me about your children. What do they like to do? What are their favorite pastimes? What do you like? Go at least 3 deep as long as we're not interrogating people
Yeah,
and we're
don't want to
getting feedback.
interrogate, make it
No,
fun, make it conversational, but definitely
yeah.
go deep.
Yeah, and I think the way to avoid making it sound like an interrogation is to react to people. So that's great. Tell me more about that. Oh, wonderful. They like to go on walks. What else do they like to do? And react in real time to people. It doesn't feel like you're selling. It's just that you're interested in them. So that's perfect. So and then once you've amassed that information, I always talk about chunking it back. So if I hear you correctly, you're looking for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, primary on the main, all that kind of stuff. But it begins with this concept. When they say they're just looking, turn that into, I know, of course, you're just looking, but hypothetically, and then rephrase the question they wouldn't answer, and they start to sing like canaries. All right, let's get into numbers. Both you and I agree upon this. I created an app literally 5 years ago. For new home salespeople, it's free to clients that we work with. So anybody that's listening to this that wants the app, you can put it on your phone, you can put it on your computer. Because I just got so frustrated. I met a salesperson, bless her heart. He said, I don't do numbers. Like, don't ask me to do numbers. It's like, well, right now, then we don't do sales because your buyers are confused, right? So they're looking at the media saying rates are 7 something. I probably can't afford a home. Well, they don't know that. It's our job as sales counselors to really guide them to sort of adopt a more consultative approach. And by the way, this is different than qualifying. So, I get this a lot. And if you have a company philosophy where you don't want the salespeople doing this, then great. I'm not going to come in and make waves. Having said that, though, there's great power to putting something in your salesperson's hands that can help your customer understand they're on the right track, or maybe they need to adjust somewhat in different ways. So the app that I have, there's 4 basic functions. And just to save time, I did some screenshots earlier. So the Mortgage Easy is the main one, where it's just the most simple mortgage calculator out there. So I did this for Taylor and Travis. Thought that would be interesting. No, Taylor Travis to Taylor Swift. Nothing on that one. Oh,
I'm sure they
there
don't
we
need a
go.
mortgage.
Yeah, they probably, well, maybe it's for his mom or something. I don't know. Yeah, they probably don't need a mortgage. You're right. Bad example. So the thing I love about this, you'll put the investment amount, the down payment, either a percentage or a dollar amount, and you can put the interest rate in. You estimate taxes and insurance, and in less than a second, it shows you what the monthly investment would be. But what I love is that you can text it or email it from you directly, and it has all of your contact info. I think your Anewgo app does it. You have the same thing where Anewgo, if you have that on your computer, you can also do the monthly investment, right, Anya?
Yes, I'll show you guys a couple of Anewgo tools at the very
Good.
end of how you can use that to get to the numbers as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. So let's say somebody comes in and you say, our homes are valued from 4s to 700 wait a minute. I don't know. I think I can't afford anything. I'm going to wait. Well, what did you have in mind? And then you would get detailed. You could show them, you text it, you email it to them, you got their contact info. The second thing it does is a backwards mortgage calculator. So for the longest time, we could never figure out if they have a monthly investment goal, a monthly payment, how do we get there? So you can do that now with the app. You put Taylor, you're thinking you'd like to spend 3,000 a month. Okay, put that in. And how much are you planning to invest? So you put that down. What did I write down? 50,000 or something, I think. We lean in, whatever the number was at today's rate. So that, yeah, with the estimate of taxes and insurance, you're looking at about 427 for that home. And if you have that, that's great. If your home started at 450, well, Houston, we have a problem. So what can we do? Maybe there's a lower interest rate program. Maybe they can put more money down, but at least you've got the power in your hands very quickly. And again, you can text that to them. Make sense? So you got a forward mortgage calculator, a backward one. The other thing which I love, which is the simplest feature on the app, it's so easy that in new home sales, there's usually always a gap, meaning that the buyer in their mind has a certain number they'd like to spend. Let's say you've taken them to that one of a kind home. They're in love with it now, but it's 450, rather it's 462.5. They wanted to be at 450. So you could take that difference and put it in the app. It's called Reduce to the Daily. So 12,500. Look at that. It's just $2.84 a day. And then if you want to equate it to something they have with them, so it's really like half that Starbucks that you walked in with to get your dream home. Well, that gourmet kitchen package is 10,000, which is $2, et cetera, 20 cents a day. So you can only use it really once, I've found. But I did this when I was on frontline sales. I didn't have my app back then. And so I'd have to know it ahead of time. I'd figure it out and I would write down 10,000 equals whatever. And then people would chuckle and go, okay, well, why didn't you split the coffee with me or split the can of soda? But at that point, I knew that they were shifting and moving forward. And look, I get it. Looking at a webinar that might seem salesy or something, but in the real world, my experience of doing this for a long time was that the wife would start kicking the husband and go, don't be so cheap. It's $2 a day. We can easily afford that. So all of a sudden they might not say yippee-ki-yay, you're a genius, but they start to shift. They start to have fun with you and realize, that dream home, that difference is affordable and it's justifiable. That big Tahoe, it's really only a couple of bucks a day to get my dream car, and that's the one I would love to have every day. Cost of waiting. Now, I created this when rates were low to show that the cost of waiting, it works just as well. If you have a permanent buy down program, as many of you now have, some people call them a forward commitment. It's good to show those savings. So let's say that today's rate is about 7.25, and your company has a permanent buy down to 5%. You would put that in, and this is for home at 625,000 with 20,000 down. You put whatever numbers you want in there. And so today's rate 7.25, buying it down to 5. Look at that. It saves you $726 a month, but over 30 years, you've saved $261,000. That's
Yeah.
pretty impactful, isn't it?
It's huge. I think as a salesperson, it's so important to know the numbers just for yourself. Even I remember when I would sell homes and somebody would come in and say, my budget is 500,000. And I would always ask, well, how did you come up with that number? Because then if they know, okay, what's the monthly payment? Because if they're completely off, that told me right away, oh, okay, they maybe use like a general mortgage calculator. They didn't include taxes or any of the other stuff, or they're completely off, or hey, yeah, they actually know what they're talking about. So it's so important to know.
Good. I love that. That's what separates you. The real pros out there are not afraid to get into the numbers because, again, it's the fear. What sort of Brittany was asking, that there's hot buttons and whys, but there's also fears. Fear of the unknown. The biggest objections are fear of the unknown and chronic things that will last forever. Well, we can hit both of those head on by just being direct and say, well, how did you arrive at 500,000? Well, it's a round number. It has a 5 and 5 zeros. And that's normally how they arrived at it, if they're being honest. They might have even been pre-approved for a number and asked for 500,000 as their pre-approval number. Doesn't mean that's what the bank can actually pay them. So once you roll up your sleeves and have fun, well, let's look at the app and let's see what would happen. And how much is your initial investment? And then you can say, well, we're in good news, or maybe you got to rethink something along the line. But either way, knowledge applied is power, right? Not just knowledge, but when you apply it. So this is a great example of applying that and helping them. All right, let's keep moving forward a little bit. So now actually, I think my motivation for this topic, chatting with you, Anya, a while back when we talked about what should we do, was the idea of narrowing down with flyers as well, both before a customer comes in and after. And it's interesting, not to say anything mean, but I can't tell you how many companies I work with where they'll start building a home, what I call a showcase home, and they just put a general listing that has none of the information or pictures of what's going in that home. And yet we as human beings fall in love with specific things. We fall in love with that beautiful farmhouse architecture and the quartz countertop and the backsplash and the flooring. So what I'm asking all of you to do is take each one of your listings before, as you break ground, go to your design studio, or if you're picking them in your garages, whatever you're doing, show those colors to the general public so that they can stop and fall in love. The most amazing thing about the world we live in the olden days, back when I started selling, all you had was MLS and it went to other realtors. It was actually a book. That's how old I am. Then it went to the computer. But now you're bypassing that and going to the general public. So when you put most of you, your MLS links to realtor.com, to Zillow. You can do paid Zillow. Anewgo is an amazing platform, all that kind of stuff. My point being that you could be in your model in your market, but somebody in a different state could be looking for a home in your marketplace. They stop on Zillow and they have a look and they look at pictures and go, wow, that's a pretty home. Oh, look at this. Look at the finishes, dear. Let's mark that one for one that we're going to go and look at. So if you're not doing this already, it's a game changer. They say that Zillow has what, over 175 million unique monthly users. It's some crazy number. I don't know.
And most of them are there for fun to look
Are
at
they okay? Fair enough. I don't
fun
know. Yeah,
photos,
I'm
which
not
is
an
great
expert.
because people love looking at this sort of stuff.
Yes, yeah, they do. And I'm not doing a promotion for any one of those search engines. What I mean is, though, you want to meet the customer where they're at. And so if your listing is generic with just, coming soon, 6 months from now, we'll have a home, like, so what? I'm not going to look at it. But if you can put images on there, and I think I have time for this. Yeah, but I think I do. Keep it brief. But when I was sales director and ended in 2017, I was a sales director for a luxury home builder for 4 years. I suddenly had this epiphany about the search engines out there and how you could meet buyers where they're at. And we had a home that was just over $3 million that was breaking ground. And I worked with my own sales team to say, let's put together a really great package for MLS, et cetera, that goes to everything else. And we had about 30 pages of stuff. We had ceiling detail, pool details. We did some virtual reality. Sure enough, somebody sight unseen in a snowstorm in Cincinnati called the salesperson. I've seen this listing. Can you hold it for me? They sent a check to hold it, came down and bought it. But it was the listing that we compiled that got their attention. So make sure that you're narrowing down to one of a kind early. Then mainly when you sit down for a recap, giving them names of finishes is irrelevant. Showing them pictures is what it's all about, right? So, and that's where Anewgo comes in as well, because your app will do your platform will do that as well, right?
Pictures worth 1,000 words, they say.
There we go. Well, good. So the last 15 minutes of this webinar, the last part of it, I wanted to go sequentially. So we've narrowed down to one of a kind. The last at the beginning, we've suggested let's go out and take a peek. They start to fall in love with something. If you're standing up when you come back to your office, what is your body language saying? Like, no, like you're out of here. If you sit down, what is your body language saying? Stay a while. And let's recap. So the phrase I love is never negotiate on your feet, always close at your seat. And I learned this many, many years ago when I was one of 10 salespeople, and people are so sick and tired, probably hearing my same story, but it's true. I was one of 10. I did okay the first year, but then all of a sudden, the second year, I had this epiphany. Why don't I sit down with everybody, not just the ones I think are good? And then I realized that so many of my buyers were terrific buyers. They just were lacking information. And so when you sit them down, always close at your seat. It's a game changer for your salespeople. And then what you want to do is have a formal recap. And it's a recap to help. It's not a recap to close. In other words, don't think of it, I'm going to close them. No, you're going to educate them and inform them, show it, price it, close it. So you're going to recap. This is the location that we looked at. You like it because here's the map and schools, shops, whatever it is. Here's a map of the community. You liked it because sidewalks, streetlights, whatever it is. Here's your home site with that beautiful view of the nuclear power plant. So, kids will glow in the dark and all that lovely stuff. The beautiful view that you liked or whatever with the sunrise, sunset, the outside of the home plan for sure. And you write down the children's names on there. So Argentina's room will be right on there for you, Anya, so that you have a connection to that home plan. You go through included features to build value, luxury choices if relevant, a move-in ready home. You'd have that flyer, that showcase home, and then you could put something down on paper if your company process allows for that. Here's here's the base price of the home. Here's the home site. Let's give you an idea of what those luxury finishes could be, maybe an approximation. Here's your approximate total investment. Here's your approximate monthly. How does that look? So, in other words, we can't be a meandering generality, as Zig Ziglar said. We've got to be a specific. And think of it as a funnel that they came in just looking, but market, but this, but rates, whatever it was. And you said, I hear you, but let's go out and peek at it. You've narrowed it down. You've now sat down and recap, and they've started falling in love with something. And then a game changer really is what Anewgo can provide. And so I worked for a few years with a wonderfully large custom home, excuse me, an on your lot builder in Texas. They built 1,000 homes that year, sold 1,000 homes. We went the second year, excuse me, we worked together. So what we found was they had about 50 salespeople and online sales counselors. The 6 or 7 salespeople that were the most successful consistently every single month were the ones that sat down with the customer at the end and they built the home together. So for all of you, whether you're on your land, on your lot builder, or in a community, if it's a pre-sale, yes, you definitely want the app so that they can go home and play with that and have fun and build their home. But the salesperson needs to take control at the closing table and say, let's have fun. Let's just build your home together and see what happens. And so, look, here, this Anewgo, that's got the bigger patio, the gourmet kitchen, the Jack and Jill bedroom, bathroom, I think might be in there, whatever, or the side entry 3-car garage, built together, give them an idea of the pricing. They're in love with something specific that they'll both love or fear missing out, especially when you've priced it, knowing the prices can change. Does that make sense? So yeah, so Anya, tell us a little bit about Anewgo and how that ties in, because I think you sort of wanted to talk a little bit about what you do in terms of Anewgo and how that can complement that.
So I know many of you on this call are our clients at Anewgo. So again, at Anewgo, we're known for interactive design tools. And oftentimes your customers will start the search process online, right? They're coming to your website first before they come into your model home. So I would say, like Roland said, meet your customers where they are. So whether you're sitting down with your customer inside of your model home and you're doing this with them in person, where you're narrowing it down to one of a kind, where our visualizer tool allows you to pick out all of the colors, the exterior colors, and really see what that house is going to look like. So again, it's all about narrowing down to one of a kind. It creates that endowment effect that Roland talked about, that allows them to take virtual ownership of the home before it's theirs. And once they take that virtual ownership of the home, it's very difficult to give that up. So I would say, whether they're doing it online themselves, you can always join a Zoom call and walk them through the process. Just because it's online doesn't mean it's, independent for them to do it. You can paint the picture just like you would walking through a model home. Tell them all about different features. Tell them about that hardy plank siding that your company uses and why is it different from everybody else. And so as you go through this process of designing a home, in the end, you can generate the brochure. A lot of our customers will have a built-in mortgage calculator where you're able to actually see the price of the home before it's final. And then if you can go to the next one, Roland, for me. And then I also wanted to show you a quick video of this virtual tour here. Oftentimes we think of virtual tours also as a way of customers doing it on their own. But in this case, like, I wish I had something like this when I sold the homes, because it allows you to change the model on the fly, right? Like adding the fireplace, changing it from 2-story to 1-story. And now you're jumped upstairs to the second level to see what that's going to look like, versus closing it off and it's another bedroom there. So even if you're showing them this model home and you're sitting in that model home, oftentimes people have such a hard time visualizing what that final product looks like with all the different options. So you can easily pull up this virtual tour and just have it right there with you, regardless of what company you use. Obviously, if you use Anewgo products, this is some of the stuff that we can do. And then if you can progress to one final one.
Yeah.
This is just a kitchen visualizer that I absolutely love, because It takes the whole house in, but then it allows you to sit down with your customer and put together the dream kitchen. Like, we know the kitchens and baths sell the home, right? So you can show them, hey, this is the latest trend. Check out these cabinets. What do you think about these cabinets? And instead of them asking you, what do you think about this combination? What do you think? Does this look good? Does that look good? They can see what the final product looks like. They can see it from every angle, change it on the fly. And again, it just allows them to fall in love with that one-of-a-kind home. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to
Amazing.
do.
Yeah, yeah. It's so sticky and tactile. And so, I think that both concepts are correct, that this is really designed, I'm sure, for the customer to be at home and have fun and relax. And what time of day do they say is when it peaks, like
Yeah,
Friday night or something?
anytime I pull up when customers are interacting with this on our analytics platform, we can see when people are doing this, and no fail, every time it's Friday and Saturday night
Right.
between 12 midnight to 2 a.m. Those are the two most
Extraordinary.
popular times, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
crazy
It
because
is.
that's when people are doing this.
Right. And then I think that intel can come back to the sales manager and the salesperson, right? You can find out what home they've looked at, and you can even look at what they've built. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You can see all
Yeah.
the details of what they've built. But again, just because they're doing it themselves, it's not a tool that only for customers. This is definitely
Right.
a closing tool
That's right.
that you can use with your
Right.
customer when you're sitting down together. You can use it
Right.
as a sales professional to really narrow down to one of a kind, show them, because again, when you're showing them, they are feeling those feelings and they can really visualize it. And when we see it, we believe it at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anya, because that's the point that we want to get across is it's an amazing tool to have, when they're at home, but really it's the ultimate closing tool in the hands of the right salesperson. You can sit down and say, let's recap, let's build this together. So simple things here, where do you want a drywall overlook, or do you want, the open rail look? Oh, I can't picture it. Well, let me show you. So you could take it on your tour with you. In the olden days, I would recommend putting a picture of a choice in the space where it goes, so you can point at the picture. But much better to have the app on your phone or your iPad and show people that we're here. What do you think? And then sit down and recap and build your home together. So you could send them away. Not technically incorrect, but it's not as powerful as what we're advocating, which is let's recap, let's build it together, let's have some fun. They build it with you, you can price it, show it, sell it. When that's really what we want to be able to do, is to give you control back. So again, you become very specific. There's a part of us, there's something known as the paradox of choice. Dr. Barry Schwartz talked about this. So too many choices can be confusing. So if they go away and do it, it's like it's too confusing. I don't know if I can really remember what I like, even though I saved my favorite home. If they do it with the sales professional says, "Good, this looks great. Let me print it for you. Let me price it for you, and then I'll show you what it is." And there's some sense with the customer that, good, I've been guided through this process, and I am getting what I want. I didn't realize I was picking things that would push my budget out of whack or whatever. I like that the sales profession is guided. Sales professional has sort of married these two things together and guided me so nicely. So let them have fun. We're not trying to stop them, but don't send them away to do it. Do it with them and close the sale that day. But not everybody's going to come back. So there we go. So what do you think, Anya? Did we cover some good topics?
I think we covered it. So, my biggest takeaways is don't shy away from the numbers, right? You gotta
Yes.
make sure, even if it's big picture numbers, you know that, okay, for every $10,000 increase, it adds
Yep.
X amount. So,
Yep.
roughly 500K is this, 450 is this in a monthly payment. So you can
Yep.
have that conversation.
Good.
Be deaf to the news, right? Like, you
Like
have to
that
be
frog.
positive. Like, guys, I don't watch news
Yeah.
at all. Like, I
A lot
stopped
of people
watching
like that.
news
Yeah.
years
Oh,
ago. Every time I turn it on, it's all horrible things. And like, I
right.
get my information what I need, and
I hear you.
I'm trying to stay, deaf to everything else because it just brings you down. And
Right.
narrow it down to one of a kind, because unless they fall in love with specific home site, specific home is going to be very, very difficult for you to
Right.
close them on
Right.
that.
Yeah, it has to be about something. It's like Seinfeld. They joked it was a comedy about nothing. It's not really true. It was lots of things, but really, it's the same thing with sales. It has to be about something specific for them to be committed, to be connected, and to start falling in love, and then fear missing out on. Wait a minute, I did like that home. I did like the home site. She showed me that visualizer. We can have our visualizer. It's like I've been drinking. We can have our dream kitchen. Maybe at 1 in the morning, I'll build it again. But yeah, they can have their dream kitchen and visualize it with them and help them do it. So my question was, what did I, in order to win a free book, the first one that emails me this correct answer, I said, never negotiate on your feet, always close blank, blank, blank. Yeah, yes. So the first one to email me with the right answer, I will get a free book. The first two, in fact. So go ahead and do that. And then also, if you want the PowerPoint, there's a lot of questions about that or the link. Absolutely. Anya's going to repost this next week. So yeah, thank you so much, Anya, for putting this together. You and your Anewgo team are amazing. I have my mastermind group meeting tomorrow of managers that we work with, and they all speak very highly of Anewgo. They're just thrilled with what they've got and the wonderful surprises that your team provides for them in terms of the service and what your app does for them.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for being our guest. I think this information is super timely. Hopefully you guys found it valuable and you will be able to close, even if it's 1, 2 more sales. Remember, those people who are coming in December, they are ready to go. So use the
Yes.
techniques that Roland taught you in this webinar and get those couple of sales. Go for that President's Club. Exceed
Right,
your
right.
quota for the last
Look,
month push.
yeah,
It's so worth it. So
at least
thank you
move
all
them
for being
forward.
here.
Sorry. Yeah, at least move them forward by getting them to fall in love with something. You'd be amazed at what happens when you get out of the way. Just get them out there, you let them fall in love, and great things will happen, is what we should be doing.
Absolutely. You guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I know it's the holiday time, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy holidays to everybody, and let's finish this year strong. I will get the replay over to you next week. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you,
We'll
Anya.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.